you for joining us, and we look forward to your presentation.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kafir. And well done to all the winners. It's really exciting to see all the new startup technology that's available. But for our session, we're going to talk about smart workspaces that improve the employee experience. Now, if you've been sitting in all the sessions during the day, it's incredible how PropTech has advanced over the last decade. And if we look at what we're busy doing, it's everything, from 3D printing to advancing sewage. And I must say, a lot of the PropTech development, in my opinion, let me just get my click right there. A lot of the PropTech at the moment is focused on the building itself. So we're looking at incredible innovations with regards to green buildings, property management, construction management, facilities management, proactive maintenance, really incredible things, but all focused on the actual building. But we're seeing a new wave of PropTech emerging, and that's a PropTech that's focused on the occupants in the building. So as we zoom into the building and we're seeing all the people inside, it's the people, it's the employees who use the building every single day. And we're really terming that as PropTech designed for the employee experience, or PropTech designed to boost employee productivity. Now you're probably thinking, well, it's PropTech, it's all about property. Why is employee productivity important? And I'll get to that just now. But the interesting thing for PropTech focused on employee productivity, it needs to do quite a lot of things to get it right. It needs to focus on 4 key things. So the first thing, you have to integrate. So the success depends on merging 4 really important key elements. If you're not going to merge these successfully, PropTech for employee experience won't work. So what's the first thing? You have to consider the entire office building, the entire workspace, all the meeting rooms, desks, open areas, parking, the entire building needs to be taken into account. The next thing is we need to be able to draw data from all the existing and new IoT sensors in the building. So all the sensors people were talking about earlier today, to be proactive with maintenance and facilities, that needs to be incorporated to be able to work. The next thing you need to consider is the variety of tasks employees do daily. And we're talking about, most people think of a day as I go to my desk to work. But if you start breaking down your day, it involves a lot more. And I know it's changed a lot recently, but it involves a lot more than just going to my desk, opening my laptop and working. If you think of your day, you have meeting, you have brainstorming sessions, collaboration sessions. There is time where you just need quiet time to focus and get some work done. There's coffee areas. So all of that during my day needs to be considered. You can't only think of work tasks. You have to think that, coffee is the fuel that gets us through the day. You have to consider employees getting coffee, getting lunch. All of that needs to be considered when we're looking at PropTech for EX. And the last thing, and this is quite important, is it needs to integrate into all the existing building systems that the business uses at the moment. And why this is important is the moment we get to duplication of work, you lose that productivity element. If we have to duplicate anything, we lose that productivity element. So for PropTech for EX to work, it needs to integrate these 4 things, plus 1. So there's one very important thing that needs to be added to this for PropTech for EX to work. And that's that it needs to be in the hands of the employees. And this is very important. If you think the way we work has changed, and not just over the last few months, but just over the last decade, the way we've worked has changed. I remember years ago, people used to, pretty much sit at their desks all day. But now we're very much on the go in meetings, meeting in coffee areas, walking meetings, meetings outside. And it's so important that when you do this, that whatever you do, whatever you design, when we talk about PropTech for EX, it has to be in the hands of the employees. Everyone always has their phones with them. Now, I know often people also have their laptops with them, but if you look at the workplace these days, it's definitely reducing. People definitely have their phones with them all the time and less their laptops. And that at the moment is a gap. If we look at the existing functionality or technology that exists, is if I want to quickly meet someone, I open up my laptop and go, where's a meeting room available now? Where if I'm on the go, I don't want to have to sit down, open my laptop, wait for it to start, and then go, where can I find a place to meet? It needs to be on my phone. So that's a very key element that needs to be part of it. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, why is this even important? Like, why are we talking about employee productivity? Because a lot of the prop tech is designed to make us more efficient, to make the building more efficient, more green, be more proactive, and save us a lot of costs. The reason this is important is, as a business leader, or if you're more in property management at the moment, think of your customers and say, well, how much productive time is lost during their day for employees to find their place to work? Now, as an example, if I think back a few months back, okay, pre-COVID, so quite a few months back, I had a meeting at a bank, and it was a meeting with 5 key decision makers. We took forever to actually get the right people in the room. I arrived at the bank. It took me 15 minutes to check in. Someone came down and actually fetched me and took me to the meeting room. Like, someone's job is to come down and collect me from reception and take me to the meeting room. We got to the meeting room and there were people inside. So keep in mind, this meeting room was booked like weeks ago. There were people in the meeting room, quite a few people. So no problem, everyone's go, okay, well, we don't want to have a confrontation. Let's open up a laptop, go into Outlook, let's find another meeting room that's available. In Outlook, we're there, we find another meeting room, cool, book it, and we all walk. So about 6, 7 of us all walked to the other meeting room. And guess what? We've all experienced this. There were people in the room already. So now everyone's getting a little bit hot under the collar. They're going, okay, so we're running a bit late. No problem, we open our laptops again, find another meeting room. We walk to another meeting room. This time we actually sent a scout before we all walked, but we eventually got to the meeting room, it was available. But this whole process took us about 30 minutes. And by the time we were all sitting down and actually starting the meeting, we actually started 35 minutes late. So needless to say, we didn't get done what we needed to in the meeting. We had to reschedule. And like I said, it's really difficult to get those people in the room again. And I remember leaving and obviously being a little bit frustrated that we couldn't actually achieve what we needed to, but thinking how much productive time was lost by all these people with us scrambling around finding a meeting space, and not just the space running around finding the space, but also the productive time that was lost, the opportunity cost of that. Now, I know as I'm telling the story, I always see a lot of nods of heads and people saying, yes, that has happened to me before. Or do you know that to find a meeting room, I have to go down 8 floors, and if I get there and someone's in my meeting room, yes, I do want to be confrontational. So it is something that happens every single day in business. So it is quite important. But part of the reason it's important, so put yourself in not just your business's shoes, but think of your clients. Employees are, for most companies, their number one asset, their biggest investment. In fact, the cost of salaries is 9 out of 10 times, much more, significantly more than the cost of the building and the maintenance around it. So it's a pretty big thing. But not only that, your employees are everything in your business. They have your IP, they service your customers, they generate all your revenue. They're also responsible for growth and innovation. Innovation's not going to come from somewhere else. It's going to come from your employees. So it's a very, very important aspect. And that's why it's so important to make sure that those employees are using their time the right way. Another interesting trend that we're seeing is there's definitely a trend that people are moving to companies where they've got a great workspace. They've got an innovative workspace. They've got a workspace where I can actually do my job really, really well. It caters for my different needs. There's a quiet space when I need a quiet space. There's lots of collaboration spaces where we can grab a pen and a whiteboard and a screen and just brainstorm different problem-solving solutions. And what they're seeing in smart buildings globally is that people are actually going to those companies. They want to work in the new Discovery building or the new Deloitte building. They want to work in those really cool, smart workspaces. So it is a great way to actually not only retain staff, but but also attract staff as well. If you still don't believe me, let's do some numbers. So a global study about a year ago said that 40% of your employees spend up to 3 weeks a year searching for a place to meet. Now that's a crazy stat. Now, if I say that stat, everyone goes, oh, that's very interesting, but like, what does it mean for me? So I love doing this exercise. So think of your own company that you work in, or think of a client that you actually uses one of your properties at the moment, and write down the number of employees in that business. And it could range from 5 to 300 to 3,000 or more. So let's say we've got 10,000 employees, 4,000 of them spend at least 3 weeks a year searching for a meeting room. So then we go, okay, 3 weeks, that's 3 weeks out of 52 weeks. That's not holiday time. That's just running around, they're not doing anything. And work out the salary cost of those 3 weeks. Now, I did a calc the other day for a bank, and we said, well, let's just roughly work it out. So if we say our average salary is 40,000 Rand, and let's just look at 500 employees. They definitely have more employees, but let's say 500 employees have this challenge where they're struggling to find space to meet for 3 weeks of the year. That is a 13 million Rand loss in productivity time. And that's quite a number. That's quite a number for any business. And that's why it's so important that PropTech, that as a leader in the business, as a facilities manager, as a property manager, you start going, hang on, there's an opportunity here where we can make our customers, we can make our employees more productive by using smart PropTech that's available. Because not only are we losing productive salary time, like I said earlier, it's your staff that generate all your revenue. The opportunity cost in your business is millions. So the cost of lost productive time is significant, and it can be addressed with really cool, smart PropTech, which I'm really passionate about. Now, a lot of companies or a lot of people are asking me, well, how has COVID changed this? Isn't everyone working from home? And it really has been fascinating over the last few months, because when working from home started, everyone was raving about how amazing working from home is. And it's a way of the future, but a few months down the line, it's a different experience. We're starting to see, or customers are starting to experience how important collaboration is and what they're losing in working from home and trying to do it on Teams calls or Zoom calls, etc. Onboarding new employees is really hard, because you forget that when you onboard new employees, typically there's a lot of other employees who do the same job, and people learn by watching, by interacting with different people on a daily basis. They learn. So onboarding is taking much longer. You know, we spoke about company culture, but it's really difficult to keep people aligned to the company vision if you're not seeing people every day. We often see, you know, before COVID, they spoke about how innovation in the business is often created around water cooler talk, or as I'd like to go, cappuccino machine talk, which is much more important in my life. But that cappuccino machine talk, you get to, people in different departments get to interact with each other. They're queuing for the same cappuccino machine. And that generates a lot of innovation in the business, new ideas, new ways of problem solving. And we're losing that. So the office is not dead. Long live the office. The office is definitely here to stay. However, it's got a different look and feel. So we spoke about earlier how the way that we work has changed, and COVID has had a bigger impact on this. But this change has meant that your old way, your old office space needs to change. Because when people come to the office now, one, you don't have the space you used to. So you might have less people coming to the office, but with social distancing, you need more space. Your meeting rooms need to accommodate less people than it had to before. Plus, when people come to the office, they're coming to either have a quiet space, better Wi-Fi connection. They're coming to interact with their colleagues. So you really need to think how your workspace that you've got now has to change to adapt to this new way of working. And people want a lot more flexibility. So they don't want to come to the office and sit at their desk. They've got a desk at home that they can sit at. They want to come and interact with people. So it's a really, really interesting change that we're seeing. So I talk about all these things, and people to the next step is usually to say, okay, that's very nice, cool, we're in, but how can you actually implement smart PropTech in your workspace that boosts employee experience? Like I said, PropTech for EX. So it's really divided into two parts. The first part is you need to understand how people use the space. And that's where a lot of the PropTech we talk in comes into play. So there are incredible smart occupancy sensors that track how people use the office space. How often do they sit at their desks? How many people typically are in a meeting room? Do we have enough meeting rooms? What's the utilization of our space? So, if our meeting rooms are full 80% of the time, it means you need more meeting rooms. If your meeting rooms are booked 80% of the time and only used 20% of the time, it's people are booking rooms and not using them. So there are some really great smart sensors available, from under-desk sensors to ceiling-based sensors that track how people use the space.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Apologize, I did not turn Siri off, so let's turn Siri airplane mode. Okay, sorry. She does not know how to respond to that question, but if she sat in for the rest of the presentation, she will. The other thing is, remember I said earlier, for PropTech to work, you need to put it in the hands of your employees. And what's available now is, think about my experience that we had earlier, is I would arrive at the customer, I'd actually pre-register. I'd have a QR code where, as my car drives in, I scan the code. I have to fill in a form with the security guard, scan the code, tells me where I can park. I walk into the building, reception has already got my details there. I simply scan my code. They know I'm coming. And with the Wayfinding app, I can know exactly how to get to the meeting room that I've got this meeting. And that's just for visitors. But if I look at my employees, the apps that are available where I can say, we're walking, I'd like to let's have a quick meeting, what's available? And on my phone, I'd be able to see what collaboration spaces are available, what meeting rooms are available, or where I am at the office today, where can I find a space to work where there aren't too many people and I want a quiet space because it's budget time and I need to do budgets. But I can do all of that from my phone. And by integrating existing business systems, so as an example, we use Outlook, it's already integrated with Outlook. So when I look at my phone, all the bookings are there already. I didn't have to duplicate and still open my Outlook. At the same time, I can see, well, that room's booked. It's 1:15 and no one's actually in that room. So I can say, well, I can go to that room because no one's actually using it. Or vice versa. I'm looking for a meeting room. That room's not booked, but it actually has people in it. So it really has, firstly, employees love it because it empowers them to actually interact with their workspace on a whole new level. But really optimizes just my day. Someone asked me earlier for PropTech, what do I associate with PropTech? And I said, a great day at work. And that's really how we see it. And people always talk about these things. So I thought I'd show you a quick screenshot about what this looks like. And here's one of the apps that are available. You can see, I can easily, this is very small, so you're going to have to stick with me, but I can easily see, I can find a place to work. So it says, do you want to find a desk, a meeting room? I can see what the meeting room looks like beforehand. I can choose if I want a 2-seater or a 10-seater. I can see if people are in there at the moment. I can even check my comfort level. And there's my wayfinding to tell me how to get there. So it really is incredible how far PropTech has come. And yeah, that's the next wave. And I see our next speaker is here, so I'm going to finish up. But thank you so much for listening. And if you do want to get hold of us, I think I've got my details there. Please reach out. Thanks very much.